Hello and welcome to my review of Thunderball, the third and final film in the Bond franchise for director Terence Young. Thunderball kicks off with Bond at a funeral, and we could assume that it was his funeral because of the coffin being inscribed with the initials JB. But we quickly learn that the man inside the coffin supposedly is Jacques Bouvert. Bouvert is a SPECTRE agent and he's responsible for killing another 00 agent, which is why Bond wants to catch up with him. I kind of like this intro to Thunderball. I like the twist. I like that Bouvert, this woman turns out to be Bouvert, and it's a real classic moment, I think, when Bond just punches this woman out and it turns out to be him. Of course, you don't know that until a couple of seconds after he punches this woman out. The fight scene that entails is quite an entertaining one. It's a nice bit of action to set up the film, although the escape, Bond's escape on the jetpack and then the water cannons that come out from the back of his DB5 is possibly a little bit overkill. You can tell that they're really trying to sit out the stall for the rest of this film and the rest of the franchise just with this opening sequence. I love the title song for Thunderball. I'm not a Tom Jones fan by any stretch of the imagination, but this is certainly a standout song for him. I can't say I know that many Tom Jones songs, but this one I do and I love it. It's one of the best Bond themes in my opinion. The plot for the film is actually quite an intriguing one, although it does take quite a long while to get set up, and I think the first half an hour of the film is really all about just kind of setting up the plot for the rest of the film, and I think they could have done it in half the time at least. All the stuff that takes place at the health spa between Bond and Count Lippy is just, it drags on just a little bit too much, and it really could have just been shaved down, I think. There's a few things that happen in the film as well that are just pretty stupid, really, like when Lippy's attempts to kill Bond in the car when he's trying to shoot him off the road, and then Spectre kind of takes him out, and you kind of think, well, who's 2 steps away from killing Bond, and you just kind of helped him. Now, the only rational explanation for this would be that they didn't know that it was Bond he was pursuing, but it kind of makes them look pretty stupid if that's the case. Speaking of that particular scene as well, there's also some really terrible back projection in the cars. You can tell that it's not Connery behind the wheel of a car and that it's actually just some scenery playing behind in the background. It looks terrible, terribly dated. This is actually quite a shame because the stunt that follows with the car crash is a really good one. Vargas, oh Vargas, how you are such a camp henchman. Seriously, if you watch Vargas in this film, is the campiest henchman from any Bond film I've ever seen. Just watch the scene when he's trying to throw hand grenades into the sea to catch Bond. The way he throws them is just the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. He's like, he pulls the pin out and he's like, he does, however, have a rather entertaining death scene at the hands of Bond with the use of a spear gun. Don't get me wrong, I've got nothing against there being like a camp villain as such, but they need to be scary as well, and this guy just isn't scary at all. If you look at Javier Bardem's character in Skyfall, he's very camp in that film, but he's also very scary. This film possibly also sees the lamest Felix Leiter that we've had so far. The guy just has no charisma. The guy who's playing him just has no charisma whatsoever. He just kind of walks in and out of scenes like a plank of wood. For a PG, this film has some fairly grim stuff in it, like Bond knifing a henchman underwater and the guy who gets thrown to the sharks, not to mention the aforementioned spear gun death scene with Vargas. I really like Luciana Paluzzi in this film as Fiona. She plays a really great femme fatale for this series, a really great villain, and she's a much better henchman, I think, than Vargas. She's much more intriguing. There's a lot more to her that, as an audience member, just really grabs me and sucks me into the film. However, her death scene is actually rather unintentionally funny. Her men are trying to shoot Bond, and the build-up to this sees someone in the background playing a set of bongos, and as we build up to this inevitable shot from the gun, the bongos just get increasingly more frantic until the gun is fired and Bond turns the tables. But those frantic bongos in the background are just so over the top, so ridiculous that it actually becomes funny. It may seem like there's a lot for me to criticise in this film, but I do actually like it. I think it's one of the better Connery Bond films. I like Domino. I think she's a well-rounded character, and it's nice to see her take out the villain at the end. It kind of puts a good ending to her story arc in a way that wasn't really done with the girls in Goldfinger. Although a lot of the underwater scenes do plod along and kind of bring the pace of the film to a bit of a standstill at times, as the director of the film, Terence Young, has said himself in the past. I do think the final underwater battle sequence is really well choreographed, and it's quite action-packed. And I just like how on the screen you just see this like mess of like people. You could swear there was hundreds of people on screen, and there's just so much going on that like your eye picks out different bits of detail each time you watch it. So I do like that scene. I think it's good. I think it's handled well, and I think it's a good climax to a good Bond film, despite the previous underwater scenes maybe not being up to that standard. As for the final fight sequence on board Largo's boat, the Disco Volante, it's a really well choreographed fight sequence, and it's quite entertaining to watch. It's a nice, fast, action-packed fight, but it's somewhat marred once again by the really bad back projection. Overall, I think Thunderball is a really great addition to the Bond franchise. I think it's ambitious in many respects, but I'm going to give this film a 6.5 out of 10. So have you seen Thunderball? If so, comment below and let me know what you thought about it. And while you're at it, let me know what your favourite Bond theme is. Until next time, thanks for watching.